So now we're back here with John DeLeo for the sixth season now, a record-setting sixth season of No Small Parts. And he's going to talk to us today about, I think, it's Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That's one of them, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's hear what you got.
As you just heard, Breakfast at Tiffany's is the movie, but the performance we're going to talk about is Buddy Ebsen as Doc Golightly. And he's one of the 100 entries in my book, There Are No Small Parts, 100 Outstanding Film Performances with Screen Time of 10 minutes or less. And he's in Tiffany's for about 9 minutes, so he just kind of made it. Buddy Ebsen's film career is not vast. He's actually more famous for the part he didn't do, which of course was playing the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, which he was cast in the role, he was on the set, he was, he was in it. And he had a terrible reaction to the aluminum dust and the silver makeup and was hospitalized badly enough that they recast the role.
Boy, I never knew that.
And Jack Haley went on to play it. And it's so sad because not only did he lose the job, but he missed out on being in a classic, and he's a footnote to it as, the guy who was almost in it. But of course, he had great success later on. In the 50s, he comes back in character parts in movies as a middle-aged guy. But his role in Tiffany, small as it is, I would say, the best film part he ever got. And, it's such an interesting character because you don't really think you're going to feel anything for a guy who comes up from Texas to track down Holly Golightly, played by Audrey Hepburn, who has run away, and we learn they were married, and she was 13, about to turn 14, when he married her, which was socially acceptable in the part of Texas that they came from. But he's not a villain he genuinely loves her and wants to take her back to this loving family. And so you feel very strange about this guy because you kind of want not to like him because he married a 13-year-old and he has come to get her. But she cares deeply for him as a human being, and he's very gentle and kind, and he has to learn to accept that she's not the Lulu May who left, and it's time to move on. And
how many years in between?
It's a let's see, it's a good number of years. I mean, between 5 and 8, I guess.
So she's become a woman.
She's a woman living a high style Manhattan life, and the main scene is their farewell at the bus station when he thinks she might be going home with him, but she's not. And he has to accept that. And it's very, very touching because he still adores and worships her. And like I said, he's the character, you can't quite pin him down to the sort of stereotype you might want him to be because he is so fully dimensional as just someone who's trying to understand, and that she's not who she was and he can't ever have her. But he doesn't get angry or mean about it. He learns to accept it, and he's grieving.
He holds his own on the screen with Audrey Hepburn?
Very much so. And George Peppard. He has the scene with George Peppard in the park where he sort of introduces himself and gets Peppard to bring him to where she is. It's actually, I think, my favorite part of the movie because the movie's fairly erratic. Some of it's great, some of it's not. And that emotionally, I think, is the strongest part of the movie. And I said it's only a 9-minute episode. It's got wonderful, funny stuff in the party scenes in Audrey Hepburn's apartment. It's got Moon River, but it also has the awful Mickey Rooney performance, which is so over the top as a Japanese,
Mickey Rooney's in also?
As a Japanese neighbor. It's like some people don't even want to hear about this movie because of the Mickey Rooney thing, but it is the worst part of the movie, unquestionably. Yes, it's offensive. It's also not funny, and it was bad in 1961. It wasn't just that it's now bad looking back. But there's so many other assets to the movie that I wouldn't want to toss it out. Very different from the book, which if they had adapted the novella by Truman Capote as it was, no one would have gone to see this movie because she's not particularly endearing, and it has a kind of a downbeat ending. and there's nothing romantic between the male and female leads in the book. The male is a stand-in for Truman Capote, not George Peppard. And so they actually very cleverly engineered it into a very commercial enterprise that worked. Because
So you like the movie better than the novella?
no, I just think they were smart at figuring out how to make a successful at the box office kind of movie out of this material, because it wasn't that way as written. It would have been more of an independent, weird story of a couple of people who've come to New York and it's not quite working out. And they invented the character that Patricia Neal plays for the movie. And then 1 year after the movie comes out, Buddy Ebsen gets the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, that's
a
soon.
television superstar for the next 10 years, and then Barnaby Jones after that. So after this, television immortality awaits.
His destiny. Sure. Thanks very much, John.
Sure.
So I have two questions for you. I'm going to see if you can guess the difference between which one I made myself and which one is from artificial intelligence. The first one, don't answer either one until you hear both of them and then see which one you think is mine. Buddy Ebsen's portrayal of Doc Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's differs significantly from the character as depicted in Truman Capote's novella. How did Ebsen approach interpreting this role, especially considering the character's evolution from the source material? That's one question. Another question is, Buddy Ebsen's the guy from Beverly Hillbillies, right? Now, which one of those do you think? What are you laughing at? They're both equally thoughtful and in-depth.
I'm going to say yours is the second question.
Yes, because that was the best one, right?
It is a better question.
Yes, okay. I did want to try something to ask a little bit more intelligent questions, but I don't want to ask that intelligent of a question.
That's
Everybody will know it's not me anyway. Like you did.